Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you are having entirely too much fun. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second induction ceremony of the Greater Grand Rapids Business Hall of Fame. I am Ron Dykstra, a past chairman of the board of Grand Rapids Area Junior Achievement and a former member of JA. The Business Hall of Fame is a creation of and is sponsored by Junior Achievement. The JA story is beautifully illustrated in this video presentation.
James R. Sebastian, and Laureate L. William Seaton.
Ladies and gentlemen, with us tonight, escorted by Junior Achievement member Emily Sachs, Laureate Robert Pugh. Escorted by Junior Achievement member Natalie Hewitt, Laureate James E. Sebastian. And escorted by Junior Achievement member Amy Schillinger, Laureate L. William Seidman. For possessing extraordinary records of business and professional achievement, for adhering to the highest moral and ethical principles, for demonstrating civic responsibility and community involvement, for serving as outstanding role models, especially for the youth of our community. Tonight we will induct into the Greater Grand Rapids Business Hall of Fame these people who are distinctive examples of senior achievement. Governor Blanchard is unable to be here this evening. Please welcome his representative, the Director of the Michigan Department of Commerce, Mr. Larry L. Meyer.
Good evening. It is truly an honor to be with you tonight. We spend a great deal of time thinking about and talking about the future and what it may bring. In fact, the current theme that we're using in our Yes Michigan Economic Development advertising is, quote, the future, we're making more of it here. Our vision of the future is comfortable, familiar, and recognizable. Because it grows out of our past, it is a future with new ideas, but with old values. The six people that we honor here tonight have helped to shape the future. They embody the kind of energy, intelligence, integrity, and strength of character, and yes, the courage that it takes to build a better business and to build a better Michigan. In reviewing their biographies, I could not help but note that each one of these laureates gave of himself or herself to the community. Without community involvement, we wouldn't have the resources to educate our children, care for the aged and the infirmed, or to create the cultural and recreational opportunities that make Grand Rapids such a great place to live and work. Unfortunately, Governor Blanchard could not be with us here tonight, but he has asked me to read to all of you his greetings. As Governor of Michigan, I am pleased to extend official and personal greetings to all attending the second induction ceremonies of the Greater Grand Rapids Area Business Hall of Fame. The 6 inductees: Ann Bissell, Melvin Bissell, William Lear, Robert Pugh, James Sebastian, and L. William Seidman, have made major contributions to the strength and the diversity of Michigan's economy. Their commitment to business excellence and to involvement in the community epitomizes the spirit of innovation that has made Michigan great. The laureates have created new products and encouraged advances that have made our lives easier, happier, and healthier. They have maintained leadership in organizations dedicated to furthering education, fitness, historical preservation, art, and science. On behalf of the citizens of our Great Lakes state, I am proud to recognize the ingenuity, the determination, and the civic service represented in the Greater Grand Rapids Area Business Hall of Fame. I congratulate the laureates and thank those who have worked to make this awards ceremony possible. Please accept my very best wishes for an enjoyable evening and future success. Sincerely, it's signed, Jim Blanchard, Governor of the State of Michigan. Thank you very much for having me, and congratulations to each and every one of you tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chairman of the Board of Grand Rapids Area Junior Achievement, Senior Vice President of NBD Grand Rapids, Fred Masad.
Thank you and good evening. On behalf of the staff and the Junior Achievement Board of Directors, I am very pleased that each of you could be with us this evening. The mission of Junior Achievement is to provide practical, realistic economic education to young people. Junior Achievement was founded on the belief that school-age children can best learn about our free enterprise system through instruction that emphasizes hands-on experience taught by business professionals. We believe that by strengthening the students' understanding of how our economy works, we are making an investment in tomorrow's business leaders. It is fitting then that tonight we acknowledge as role models for these young people, businessmen and women who have been successful by any standard as leaders of our community. Junior Achievement educates children, and we begin with children in the 5th grade Business Basics class, a 4-week program which teaches the elementary principles of how businesses operate and are organized. The next phase of our in-school programming is our 8th grade Project Business class, which expands on this newfound knowledge and provides a transition to our senior high applied economics program. Applied economics students actually run a company and through computer simulation see the effect of their business decisions. Of course, for those enterprising students who want hands-on experience running their own company, JA offers the traditional evening program. We believe that Junior Achievement's practical approach to learning makes it the most effective vehicle for economic education. This year, over 10,000 Grand Rapids area students will participate in JA programs. These students in this community are especially fortunate in that we have one of the premier JA chapters in the nation. At Junior Achievement, we do believe that children are the future. This evening is really as much for our students and what they can become as it is for those of us in attendance. Junior Achievement takes great pride in the part it plays in helping our children see and then realize their potential, very much like tonight's 6 laureates. It is our hope that among our current junior achievers, there are future members of the Business Hall of Fame. It is a distinct honor for Junior Achievement to be associated with this event because for us, it showcases the qualities that our programs try to instill in young people. Thank you and enjoy your evening.
Junior Achievement High School Program member Emily Sachs will offer an invocation.
Please bow your heads for the invocation. Dear Lord, we are here this evening to honor those individuals who, because of their commitment to excellence, are an inspiration to the entire community. These laureates have given of their time, talents, throughout their years, and their achievements are deserving of tonight's recognition. The greater Grand Rapids area would not be the community we know and love today had it not been for their outstanding accomplishments. They have truly enriched our lives. We ask you, Lord, to bless these laureates and all those present who have come to share in this meal and celebration. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we've enjoyed the piano music of Eric Wendlandt. Would you recognize him with me, please? Thank you. Thank you, Eric. For the past 10 years, Johnson & Dean Incorporated has served as the volunteer advertising agency for Grand Rapids Area Junior Achievement. They have played a major role in planning and producing this event tonight. We owe a special thank you to the staff and management of Johnson & Dean, the account executive from the agency, who has made enormous contributions to this event on company time as well as her own. Charlene Van de Beek is in the director's booth upstairs, and representing the agency this evening is a man who calls the work for JA a labor of love, a member of the board of directors of Junior Achievement, president of Johnson & Dean, David Kagan. One year ago, the first 6 laureates were inducted into the Greater Grand Rapids Business Hall of Fame. 3 of the laureates are with us tonight. We came here last year to honor them and left with a sense that we had been honored to have spent the evening with them. The Business Hall of Fame Committee has commissioned the design and production of crystal medallions which will be presented to those laureates inducted last year as a reminder for them of their special place in this community. It is our hope the medallions will be worn at this event for years to come. It's fitting that the medallions be presented by young people for whom these laureates are role models. Members of Junior Achievement's in-school programs will present the medallions to those laureates who could be with us this evening. Jamie Cronkright and Matt Benz will make the presentation to Richard DeVos. Brandy Carter and Charlie Balk will present the medallion to Fred Meyer. Han Du and John Prue will make the presentation to Jay Van Andel. Thank you, students from East Kentwood and St. Stephen's School. Tonight, we will experience history as we induct 6 more laureates into the Greater Grand Rapids Business Hall of Fame. The memento which will be presented to each laureate tonight is an original design by Creations Unlimited and Johnson & Dean. It incorporates the use of Michigan black walnut and lead crystal prisms. Black walnut exemplifies quality and signifies the lumber industry, which was the foundation of our early economy. The colorful, light refracting qualities of the crystal prisms serve as a reminder of how these laureates have extended opportunity and goodwill and made a positive impact upon our community. Portraits of our 6 new laureates will be added to the permanent Business Hall of Fame display at the Kent County International Airport.
Some people have a knack for improving on the ideas of others. One such person was Melville R. Bissell. Because of his allergy to the packing straw in his Grand Rapids crockery store, he set out to make a better, more efficient floor sweeper. The result, a carpet sweeper with a rotating brush, revolutionized the way America cleaned. The original business was housed above the Crockery Incorporated, Mr. John M. Bissell.
Well, it's a great privilege and a high honor to have both my grandmother and grandfather recognized among this august body, those community leaders who have been an inspiration to us all. But the Junior Achievement Organization selection of both Anna and Melville Bissell reminds me a little bit of the story of the undertaker who was talking to the man who had recently lost his mother-in-law. And he said, "Would you like your mother-in-law to be cremated or buried?" And he thought for about 10 seconds and said, "Let's do both. Why take chances?" Although I never met my grandfather, as none of you here in this room have, I would like to tell you a little bit about some of the things that I knew about him as I grew up in the legend that is passed down. First, I'd like to read a testimonial that was prepared on his death, his untimely death at age 46 in 1889. Whereas we, the members of the Grand Rapids Furniture Manufacturers Association, have learned of the death of Melville R. Bissell, one of our honored and most successful members, and deeply sensible of the great loss to his immediate family, ourselves, and the city at large, do therefore resolve, first, that in the early demise of our brother and friend, the city has lost not only one of the most successful manufacturers and businessmen, but one who had in view and at heart the best and the highest interests of his fellow men, and who was ever ready to contribute of his means, either to alleviate suffering or to aid the worthy, or to build up the material prosperity of this his adopted city. Second, that in the phenomenal success in his manufacturing enterprise and amid the discouragements that sorely tried him, Mr. Bissell displayed a courage and faith which is worthy of emulation and should be an example of those who come after him. Third, that all the members of this association attend his funeral in a body. Well, it's hard to start a company from scratch, as many of you in this room, like Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, can attest. But quoting from the book Recollections, which was written by my Aunt Dorothy, the eldest child of Anna and Melville Bissell, this is how she described the beginning of the Bissell Company in her own words. The Bissell Carpet Sweeper Company came into existence in 1876, the same year as the telephone. The new and distinguishing features of the Bissell sweeper invention, the so-called broom action, was the basis for the first really successful sweeper. Manufacture of sweepers was begun. They were all made on the second floor of their building on Canal Street. The business grew rapidly, and in 1882, a new large wood frame factory was erected. But this building was destined to be short-lived. In the morning of March 12, 1884, a bitterly cold and windy day, fire broke out. It totally destroyed the building and the family fortune. But only 1 year later, the Bissell Company commemorated the anniversary of the fire with a feast for all its employees served in a new 4-story brick factory building. 1876 was an eventful year in every way. The celebration of our nation's first 100th anniversary and included a World's Fair in Philadelphia with almost 100,000 exhibitors. On Market Street in downtown Philadelphia, John Wanamaker erected a spectacular new department store. And legend has it that the fledgling entrepreneurs, Anna and Melville, journeyed by train from Grand Rapids to Philadelphia each with a sample Bissell sweeper under their arm. When they reached Market Street with its fine stores, it was decided that Melville, the inventor, would work one side, and Anna, his helpmate, would work the other side. And they met at the end of the street, end of the block. They were to compare notes to see who had gotten the largest orders. The foreboding, high-fashion John Wanamaker was on Anna's side of the street, with the more likely hardware stores on Melville's side. And when they met at the end of the block to compare the results, well, you guessed it, Melville had no orders. But as legend has it, Anna had sold not only her sample sweeper, but had an order for a dozen, as they said in those days. So from that time on, Anna ran the sales department, and Melville ran manufacturing and product development. Today, Bissell Inc. is a 114-year-old company with what I think are 3 very unique characteristics. First of all, it has survived for 114 years, and therefore it has stood the test of time. Number 2, it has continued to be a family-owned and managed firm. And number 3, it still manufactures its original product, the carpet sweeper. And the Bissell family is unique, and it has a lot of love, and that love is augmented and boosted by the central nucleus of the family company. Today there are 77 living descendants of Anna and Melville, including 11 of us here tonight, and 4 of whom work for the company. Included in our Bissell corporate family are 3,000 employees operating 27 Bissell facilities in 10 states and 7 countries. And representing this group of loyal members of the Bissell corporate family, we have 3 full tables here tonight. And I'd like to ask those 3 tables if they would rise and join with me in expressing the family's appreciation to the Junior Achievement Organization for this high honor.
Anna Sutherland Bissell was a woman far ahead of her time. In an era when women took a back seat in life, Mrs. Bissell was a pioneer, a mover and a shaker in business and in the community. At 19 is Anna and Melville Bissell's granddaughter, Mrs. Ann Corll.
these bright lights. Our family accepts with honor, with pride, this honor given to Anna Sutherland Bissell. Granny was a very unusual person, very warm, very caring, very religious, a delightful person. She loved humanity. I'm not used to these bright lights. She built Bissell House.
There's a light here,
Oh, thank you. That makes a lot of difference. She built Bissell House as a center where immigrants could gather, learn to our ways, socialize, and take courses. They had sewing, they had all types of courses there. It was really an early Y. She was on the board of Blodgett Home and personally placed several children for adoption. She was a pillar of the Methodist Church, an avid gardener, a world traveler, and a wonderful mother. On top of all this, she was a successful fledgling businesswoman. She ran a successful fledgling business and was way ahead of her time in giving workers benefits. She personally knew the workers. They were her boys. She would join them at the bench and visit with them. They were her friends. In 1929, she resigned and the reins were turned over to my father, M.R. Bissell Jr., who guided the company through the Depression. No one was let out except if a woman married, then she was let go. Her husband was to support her. Granny was fun. She had a great sense of humor. She loved to pun. They were simply dreadful. They were grisly. But she enjoyed them, and she would laugh and then shake all over laughing. It was fun. But the most arresting thing about Granny was her eyes. From them came a radiance from within that was indescribable. It was her love of humanity. Thank you.
When the talk turns to accepting for another, Moya Olson Lear is the recipient of over 20 awards, including 6 honorary doctorates. She has received 2 J.A. awards, one for distinguished leadership, and is a laureate of the Northern Nevada Business Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Moya Olson Lear.
It's a very special honor for me and a very special time to be in Grand Rapids because the memories just devastate me. I'd like to compliment you on this podium before we get started. There's light and the mic works. That's great. In aviation, when these test pilots ring out a new airplane, they try to achieve more speed and more range and better performance at altitude. And it's called expanding the envelope. And that's what these kids are trying to do, and the girls are trying to do. They're trying to expand their envelopes. And I say that's wonderful, and do that. And we encourage them to do that. But don't forget to be mothers and lovers. Bill said something that was so great when we were first married. I was worried about bankruptcy. It was after World War II, and they'd cancel war production contracts, you know, zap, it's finished. And my God, what happens? Do they back up a truck and load up your furniture and drive away? What happens? And he came home and he put his arms around me and he said, honey, don't ever worry about bankruptcy. They can't bankrupt my mind. And that was such a powerful philosophy that he had his whole career. They could never bankrupt his mind. And every step he took, everything he did, there were people who said, you can't do that. The first ADF, nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to pay that much money for put in an airplane. The first, the automobile radio, it won't work. They'll legislate in Congress against it. The Learjet, what does he know about airplanes? With an 8th grade education, who does he think he is? Build an airplane? He built the most beautiful airplane. It's still, after 25 years, I look at the Learjet parked on a ramp, and, you know, those boys get out of that aircraft, and I wave, you know, and they say, who's that dame over there? I love it. But you know, Bill, no matter what you hear about him, no matter what he did wrong, he did so much that was right. And he knew a passion in everything he did. The way he flew, the way he worked, the way he played, and maybe he had a couple of girls besides me. And the way I feel about that is that little song from South Pacific and Give Me Some Freedom of Gender that says, so supposing he ain't bright, or completely free from flaws, or as faithful as a bird dog, or as kind as Santa Claus, it's a waste of time to worry over things that he is not. Be thankful for the things he's got. That's what I'm telling these girls around the country. Be thankful for what they've got. Don't let your marriages fragment for the wrong reasons. Now, we had 4 children, and the one that Bill absolutely adored was our last child, our daughter, our youngest. He just loved her to death. And, you know, we all have trouble with our kids, and Bill was no different. But this daughter wrote a letter to her father, and I wanted to share it with you tonight, because it was a letter written from a daughter, 17 years old, to her father, who was Bill. Dad, I don't want to call you a great man, a genius, a brilliant inventor. You know that. I don't want to say that your money is what makes us a happy couple, or that your blind love for me is what makes us a wonderful, envied father and daughter, because it isn't. Tonight, at the Hungry Tiger, I looked at you, and tears must have brimmed in my eyes at least 8 times. How could I say that I loved you and have it sound as tender as your face looked to me right then? Being with you all alone, just you and me, was water to drink in prison for me. It was a quench for my thirsty throat, for my thirsty eyes, for my thirsty mind to be with you. When you drove off eastbound on the Ventura Freeway, I cried. Tenderness has been the only thing that has really hurt me, because it's so painful and such a cherished thing in my life. And when you drove off eastbound on the Ventura Freeway, I suddenly felt a heavy tenderness for you. The music played on my radio, and I just drove through the traffic, wishing you anything you wanted and didn't have. Needless to say, I love you. And no matter how many times I try to write, you'll never know by my writing. Only by your dear heart and your perceptive mind would you even guess at how strong is my love. I saw a lifetime in your face. I feel a lifetime in your voice. I know a lifetime through your stories, and I love my own lifetime because of having loved you, my wonderful Father. God did us well. Just a last thing. You know, none of us knows what we can do until we're challenged. None of us. We don't know what our capacity is until we're challenged. I was challenged in an incredible way, folks. I mean, I was the girl that kept the coffee pot hot and handed him the pliers, and I raised the children and put the stuff in the washing machine and went to the market, and I did all those things. So that when I ended up, and nobody could have told me here in Grand Rapids when I lived at 455 College Southeast and was busy hanging diapers out on the line back there, that I'd end up as chairman of the board of a $200 million corporation. I mean, there was no way. And I still, what I did was I motivated the workforce. I don't get points for being a big businesswoman. I'm not. I was his wife and his lover, and I raised his children, and I was put in that position just by accident. And we did build the airplane, and we did fly it. And to close my remarks, we had a Christmas party just before first flight. And I told my Christmas kids, I said, okay, give away your door prizes. And of course, one of the door prizes was a door because of Olson & Johnson, But when I stood up, I said, I'm going to sing a song for all of you, and it's dedicated to your real boss, who couldn't be here tonight because he's out there working on his airplane. So I sang, if Bill could see me now, just think how proud he'd be, the way we turned his dream into reality. I wish that he were here to join in the fun and laugh at those who said it couldn't be done. All I can say is, wow, what a terrific high. As all together now we'll watch our Learfan fly. What a feeling, holy cow, he'd never believe it if my Bill could see me now. If he could see me now, my darling, dearest dear, and view the final chapter of his great career, he'd understand what all the shouting's about. If he could see the way his Learfan turned out, all I can say is, wow, to think it's really real. The story of just how we signed that final deal. What a feeling. Holy cow, he'd never believe it. If my Bill could see me, if he could see me, if Dad could see me now.
Robert Seaview is chairman of the board of Steelcase
Well, how would you like to follow that last act? You know, I've always wanted to be a song and dance man. It's always, but I didn't bring any of my numbers with me tonight. Seriously, you know, I'm really flattered and in awe over receiving this grand honor here tonight. And in all humility, I would like to spread the credit around to all of the many thousands of men and women who have shared in the success of Steelcase over the past 78 years. I suspect that I'm somewhat of a myth. Certainly there is no one person that is indispensable or who is solely responsible for all of the good things that have happened to our great company. To begin with, our company was founded in 1912 in the good old-fashioned way. It is a story of old-fashioned values, entrepreneurship, hard work, good common sense, and standing out as the most important value is integrity. Integrity with customers, integrity with stockholders, employees, and all of the people connected or involved with the company and in the communities in which we do business. Without integrity, you're building castles of sand. There is no future without it. In 1912, Peter M. Wege came to Grand Rapids to develop an interest in beginning a new enterprise to manufacture metal safes for the Macy Company. He approached Mr. Henry Idema, a leading banker in town with what is now called Oak Kent Bank, who became intrigued with Wege's character and an entrepreneurial spirit. Idema put together a group of 12 investors, which included Wege, Idema, and his son Walter Idema, who was fresh out of Princeton. The Metal Office Furniture Company was founded by these 12 men with a total subscription to the capital stock of $54,000. Wouldn't it be wonderful if these men could be here today to see what they have spawned? These gentlemen, along with many others, have given our company a heritage and culture that combines integrity with human understanding. In 1914, 2 years later, David D. Hunting, fresh out of the University of Michigan, joined the company. Dave sometimes jokes that the reason he was hired was because he owned a bicycle and could easily run errands. David Hunting was recognized as a laureate last year by the same group. He headed up our sales organization for better than 45 years and established many policies and practices that we adhere to this day. In this Wege, Idema, Hunting management team, we have a strong triumvirate of skills. Peter Wege in manufacturing, Walter Idema in finance and administration, and David Hunting in sales and marketing. These men led our company through many hard years during the Great Depression. They met that challenge by facing up to that adversity. They and our company alike were made stronger for it. Now, when I joined the company in 1952, it was still the Metal Office Furniture Company. It was a very strong company. And as I think back, it was awesome. A very sound company, well managed, good employee relations, quality products, a great dealer organization, and a strong heritage of integrity. It was a company all primed and ready to move ahead. We shared third place in an industry with several other companies, all private, but all close in size. One of which you would be aware of would be the Shaw Walker Company in Muskegon. One of the leaders of that day, Art Metal, has been out of business for 20 years. And the other leader, General Fireproofing, known as GF, has just filed for Chapter 11 after a long deterioration in their volume and profits. All of this is a reminder that nothing is forever. In 1954, Metal Office Furniture Company changed its name to Steelcase. Steelcase has been a trademark used by the company, and it is more distinctive than the previous name, which described not only our products, but the products of our competitors, the other metal office furniture manufacturers. Another significant old-fashioned contribution from our early heritage is the need for profits, good old-fashioned profits. It is not a dirty word. Profits are a necessary part of the equation of doing business. Profits provide return for the investor's risk, wages for the efforts of all employees, which in our company we call profit sharing, and valued service and products for the customers. Profits provide the investment capital for equipment, buildings, factories, product development, and of course, additional working capital. Reinvestment of capital begets more productivity, which in turn provides more profits for profit sharing, growth, and more reinvestment, and so the cycle goes. There are still many challenges facing Steelcase and every other company in this world. Things have been happening so fast that it is sometimes mind-boggling. There will be business challenges in this ever-changing world. Those who meet these challenges and manage the change will be successful. The future is definitely exciting as the past, and the status quo managed companies will have a tougher time than ever. I am deeply grateful to the thousands of Steelcase men and women, both past and present, who have helped make Steelcase what it is today. The founding fathers, the executive team that I have worked with over many years, and today's fine group of executives. All of our people who for 78 years have cooperated and striven for the highest degree of excellence. I take my hat off to them all and say thank you to each one. We couldn't have done it without them. Last but not least, I would like to thank my lovely wife, Mary, for her support during the shortest 43 years on record. Thank you very much.
James R. Sebastian founded the Standard Truck. The Little Red Schoolhouse is a prime example of industry. He is a founding member of the National Alliance of Businessmen and Junior Achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James R. Sebastian.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. Mr. Chairman, Junior Achievers, Junior Achiever Advisors, trustees, donors, and last and possibly most important, junior achievement parents who have supplied an endless continuing market for the products of all of the companies. It's an honor to be named a laureate by an organization of young people. It's very gratifying. I was not a founding member of Junior Achievement. I came late in the first year. I was the third chairman of finance. I was charged with raising a budget of $10,000, and it came very hard. There had been 2 campaigns that had failed to make the budget. I don't think we knew at that time just how proud we should be of what we were trying to do. It is an idea that turned out to be much better than we thought. On our first calls where we had success, it was in company with another junior achiever. I remember one of the calls was on Fred Vogt of Knappen Vogt on a Saturday morning, and Fred was so impressed with what we were trying to sell him, so he said, that he took us on a tour of the Knappen Vogt facilities. Fred Vogt was an important donor. I'm talking almost entirely about junior achievement because it is the largest compact in the country between business and its future employees and managers. There's no other organization that meets this description. It is so important that the resource of business be used in assisting the education of our future people. This is a time when the educational needs are increasing. Junior achievement is increasingly important. In this country, we need more programs that are designed to use the tremendous educational resources of business and to bring them to the young people. Yes, I'm proud of the growth of junior achievement in the past 34 years. There are now 10,000 junior achievers. Our first budget was $10,000. That is a multiplier. I thank you for the honor of being named a laureate. Thank you.
When L. William Siegman became the 14th chairman of the FDIC in 1985, he brought years of commitment.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. I want to thank Junior Achievement for this great honor, particularly sharing a platform with the likes of the Bissels, Bill Lear, Bob Pugh, and Jim Sebastian. That is truly a great honor. I want to thank Jay and Rich for building this palace. It's a wonderful tribute to what Grand Rapids people can do. And I want to thank you all for getting me the H out of Washington today. You know, Washington is 67 square miles surrounded by reality. It's a place where friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. Just ask. And as Harry Truman said, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. So it is, I must say, a particular pleasure to be here in my old hometown. And it's always a pleasure to come to Grand Rapids. Now, I know I'm the last speaker, and it's incumbent upon the last speaker to be short. I'm reminded of that continuously, and particularly in Washington, where I have a speechwriter. The last one I had ran to long speeches, so I told him I want a 15-minute speech, no more, no less, and he gave me the material. I went to the platform, and it ran a full 30 minutes. So when I got off, I said to him, young man, I told you a 15-minute speech, and the audience was bored, and you simply didn't follow instructions. And he said, but Mr. Chairman, it was a 15-minute speech. I gave you 2 copies. So I am reminded. I am reminded that we must keep it short. I'm pleased to see so many of my good and old friends, including many of my partners from my days at Seidman and Seidman, and many others who worked with me on projects like putting Channel 13 on the air, starting Grand Valley, and other enterprises during my days in Grand Rapids. Those were the happy days. Now I'm involved with the S&Ls. And I'm involved with the Washington scene and then all that goes with it. I read in the paper today that the president was mad at me, and then I heard on the news that he wasn't. Does anybody know whether the president is mad at me or not? Well, let me just say that I'm still learning. It's an interesting scene, and I have learned a little bit watching what happened to the S&L industry. You know, there's an industry that got in trouble because they borrowed short and lent long. Anybody who took Finance 101 knew that borrowing short and lending long was a dangerous practice. And they found that out. But what did we do when all that happened? I think we saw 3 things happen that hopefully will be a lesson to us in the future. First, when the industry got in trouble, they decided they would ignore the facts. They changed the accounting standards. They averaged losses. They did all those kinds of things that obscured the facts. So they didn't know the facts. When finally the facts were too evident to ignore, they could have faced the facts, but they decided that facing the facts was too painful. So they provided ways for the industry to go into new businesses, to experiment with new kinds of financing, and all with the credit of the United States through deposit insurance. You know, deposit insurance is like having a credit card on the United States with no limits. And that's what that industry was given. They were given the right to solicit deposits, and no one limited what they did with them or how much they could get. So the likes of Mr. Keating were able to grow from $600 million to $6 billion in 4 years Were they entrepreneurial geniuses? No. They were simply using a free credit card on the United States. Incidentally, Mr. Keating, I thought, came up with a great suggestion. Some of you may have seen it. He said that Mr. Milken really ought to be the next chairman of the FDIC. And I think he's right. It's worse than going to jail, certainly. Well, anyway, we failed to get the facts. We failed to face the facts. And then when it became painfully evident to everybody that this was a disaster, we failed to act. Both parties failed to act. The Democrats failed to act because they were longtime supporters of the S&L industry and didn't want to see a great many of those institutions closed. And the Republicans failed to act because they thought that they had deregulated the industry, forgetting that they had given them a credit card on which there were no limits. And as a result of that, we have a disaster that will cost us, well, I can't say for sure, but well in excess of the $120 billion up front that have been estimated. And over the period that we're going to borrow the money, I think the GAO's estimate of $350 to $500 billion is not out of line. So I think we've learned something that I think junior achievement, I'm sure, will be teaching its students. And that is, if you don't get the facts, if you don't face the facts and you don't act on the facts, it's liable to be a very expensive experience. I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to be on this platform. I'm honored that Junior Achievement chose me for this honor, and most of all, I love being back in Grand Rapids. Thank you.
The people presenting the mementos to the laureates were members of the JA High School program, Susan Kilborn and Milton Moore. Tonight's escort at the stage stairs was JA member James Pointer. Now, in a few moments, the laureates and family representatives will be escorted to the Crown Foyer, and when the lights in the room are turned up, the formal program will be completed, and we will have an opportunity to greet them. The number of laureates in the Greater Grand Rapids Area Business Hall of Fame has grown to 12. We are all beneficiaries of the achievements of these business leaders of the past who live on in our memories, and the effect upon the community of those laureates who continue to achieve. The Junior Achievement Organization is building this monument in our effort to ensure continuing awareness of the positive influence which dynamic business leaders have upon our community. Thank you, and good night.